Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. In review today is Plane on 4K Blu Ray. Let's take a look at the tech specs. It was shot on ARRI Alexa cameras, but I'm unsure of the exact resolution it was captured in. It's got a 4K DI, the aspect ratio is 239:1, it's got a Dolby Atmos soundtrack, the disc supports HDR10 and Dolby Vision with a full enhancement layer for the Dolby Vision grade. The HDR10 grading has a maximum content light level of 934 nits and a maximum frame average light level of 199 nits. It's a 100GB disc, the average bitrate is 60.93 MB per second, the runtime is 107 minutes and it's rated 15. Plane lands on 4K Blu Ray with a modest upgrade over the 1080p transfer, offering more discernible detail and a better resolved colour palette courtesy of the HDR grading. Even though there is a slight softness to some shots, finer detail is still rendered with an improved level of intricacy on the 2160p, and skin imperfections, facial hair and beads of sweat are all visible in close-ups. The image does feature a fine layer of digital grain, which has been tastefully applied and is more noticeable with the increased resolution. Although not wholly cinematic, it offers a subtle filmic texture to the presentation. The film's colour palette leans towards cooler natural tones, with blue-teal hues dominating in the first few opening scenes on board the plane, before transitioning to the tropical green, brown and blue tones of the island. The HDR grading, whether HDR10 or Dolby Vision, gives a small boost to the overall palette, whilst also helping to accentuate the tonal difference between the interiors of the plane and the island's jungle environment. Occasionally, a few shots on the island can have a very slight desaturated look to them, in comparison to the fuller, healthier tones in the rest of the movie, a technique perhaps utilised to emphasise the stark, harsh reality of the situation. The white balance is clean and crisp without bloom or murkiness, and black levels are adequate, revealing slightly more information and shadow detail in the darker scenes, particularly evident when the lights go out in the plane as it loses power. No serious encode or compression related issues were detected, with the image retaining good stability throughout. If you enjoy this type of content, why not consider subscribing and following me on Twitter and Instagram at chrisatthemovies to stay up to date with the latest physical media news. As for the audio, Lionsgate's 4K presentation of Plane takes off with a decent action-packed Dolby Atmos soundtrack. The film opens with some background ambience of the hustle and bustle of an airport, followed by the preparations and departure of the aircraft. It's when the plane encounters a terrifying storm that the track truly comes to life, producing a range of surround channel activity with wind and rain on the plane's exterior and bangs, rattles and clangs from the aircraft's fuselage. After a bumpy landing, the surround channels remain engaged on the ground, with plenty of jungle ambience and atmospherics that effectively set the scene. The action sequences are amongst the key highlights of this mix, but no more so than the chaotic climatic battle, with whizzing bullets, vehicle engines and a particularly loud 50 caliber sniper rifle, which produces a nice thrilling boom. The height channels aren't frequently employed, but do still offer a few effective inserts throughout. The roar of the jet engines from an exterior shot of the plane flying overhead, rumbles of thunder and other dramatic effects as the plane experiences turbulence, and a few occasions of echoing gunfire. Bass response is sufficient, adding extra weight and punch to key effects, such as the plane's engines, gunshots and hand-to-hand combat, but it never really crosses into the ultra-deep and aggressive territory. Marco Beltrami and Marcus Trump's musical score has good soundstage presence, and dialogue comes through crisp and clear with no problems to report. To summarise, I'll give the picture an 8.6. Plane mainly sticks the landing with this solid 4K transfer from Lionsgate, offering a reasonable uptick to finer detail and an appreciative tonal boost to the colour palette, courtesy of HDR, all making for a decent upgrade over the 1080p Blu Ray that fans of the film should be satisfied with. And I'll give the audio an 8.4. The in-flight entertainment is accompanied by a sufficient Atmos soundtrack that takes the listener on a thrilling ride, with great surround channel engagement, infrequent but still effective height speaker activity and adequate subwoofer output. So these are my thoughts on Plane on 4K Blu Ray. Will you be picking this one up? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching guys, enjoy your movies, bye!